Ah, the Upper West Side, home to Lincoln Center, the American Museum of Natural History, and both the Beacon and Delacorte Theater, it is truly a cultural and intellectual hub of New York City. This neighborhood is known for its brownstone-lined streets and an abundance of landmarks from the Dakota to Belvedere Castle. The Upper West Side is bordered by both Central Park and Riverside Park, making it one of the greenest parts of Manhattan and, in my humble opinion, one of the coziest. I've been lucky enough to call the Upper West Side home since 2021, when my sister Aline and I snagged a COVID deal on a 3-bedroom apartment that almost seemed too good to be true. We've clung onto it for dear life since then and have spent the last 3 years taking advantage of everything this neighborhood has to offer. So come along with me for a local's guide to a perfect Sunday on the Upper West Side. For me, no Sunday is complete without a visit to the 79th Street Green Market, a year-round farmers market by the Museum of Natural History. There's just something magical about picking up your local produce with dinosaur bones not too far away, you know? For years I used to drop off my food scraps at Grow NYC's composting bins, but thanks to Eric Adams, that program has now been defunded. But hey, at least strawberries are in season. Excuse the very loud sounds of the city, but I just wanted to take a moment to reflect on when I discovered this farmer's market and how much this farmer's market means to me. I remember when Aline and I first moved to the Upper West Side, we had moved back from Montana to New York City for the second time. This was pre-vaccine in the pandemic, so it was a really, really scary time in New York City. And I remember coming back to New York felt so daunting, really overwhelming, questioned a lot whether it was the right decision or not. Unfortunately, I fell into kind of a depression, honestly, and it was really hard to get acclimated back to the city. And I remember when Aline and I stumbled upon the 79th Street Farmers Market, and it really did feel like a little bit of lightness in a pretty dark time. When I lived in Montana, the weekend farmers market was always something that I looked forward to, so being able to find a local market here in my own neighborhood that I could visit every Sunday, you know, grab a little pastry, grab a coffee, wander through, grab any essentials for the week, drop off the compost. It was really the first step to starting a life here. I feel like little rituals, little traditions are so important and so helpful when you're settling someplace new. Routine for me personally is huge, and I feel the most at home somewhere when I can start having my own routine and having, you know, my go-to spots that I visit. Being a regular somewhere, there's just such a cozy feeling about it. So I don't take it for granted, and it's just so special to think back on the first time we kind of stumbled upon this market in the dead of winter, when we were filled with so much doubt about whether we had made the right decision or not, whether we had chosen the right neighborhood, whether we should have just stayed in Montana. And we honestly spiraled a lot about it, but I do remember the tide kind of turning when we were able to come to the farmers market. We started taking our pastries to the park and really falling extra in love with Central Park. So this Sunday routine has become really near and dear to my heart, and I feel so lucky to have been able to not only experience it, but to be able to experience it as a local for the last 3 years has been such a joy. When we moved here in 2021, this new science wing of the American Museum of Natural History actually didn't even exist yet. It was under construction, and I believe only recently opened in the last year. And it's so exciting because when we used to walk by Theodore Roosevelt Park, there was so much construction, everything was boarded up, and it feels really cool to have been able to watch the progress literally from the ground up. And now it's this beautiful new wing of the museum, and there's this whole little park area where I'm standing right now that only adds to the ambiance of the market and, of course, like the neighborhood, even just on a regular day. Like, being able to spend time here is so beautiful. On this particular morning, I was too buzzed on cold brew to drink more coffee, so I grabbed an iced mint Rose Dream Tea from Tweefontein Herb Farm, which really hit the spot on a hot day. But if you're craving something stronger for your Sunday morning, might I recommend Black Press Coffee on 73rd and Columbus. Next up is always the Grand Bazaar, New York City's biggest curated weekly market, which takes place every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. stocked with goods from local artisans and plenty of incredible vintage finds. I could peruse these stands for hours. I really have found so many gems here, and not to mention the profits from the market actually benefit 4 local public schools, funding enrichment programs and classroom essentials, which is so cool. I had no idea. Of course, it wouldn't be a New York City Sunday without bagels. If you want to go the classic route, there's always H&H and Zabar's in the neighborhood, but Pop-Up Bagels recently opened a location right by the Grand Bazaar, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about them since I tried them for the first time recently. If you'd rather pick up something at the market itself, there is a selection of exquisite food vendors at the Grand Bazaar as well. I highly recommend Miss Holly's Smokehouse or Club Dog. Hello everybody, currently taking a little bit of a reprieve in Theodore Roosevelt Park, which is a cute little park right by the Natural History Museum, and it borders the farmer's market. So it's the perfect spot if you need to sit down and have a bite or a sip of something on your little Upper West Side Sunday. But any perfect Sunday includes my sister, let's be honest. If you're new here, I run this channel alongside my sister and best friend and roommate, Aline, and she is surprising us today as the guest star.
Hi, happy to be here.
In this video. But we're gonna have our pop-up bagels. I'm so excited. Any ideal Sunday calls for bagels, so we're gonna get into these. I said this in the last video, but the salt bagel from Pop-Up Bagels is my personal favorite, and Aline's never tried it before.
No.
So we're gonna get into these now and catch up and continue enjoying our day. Nice. While in the area, Mass Market is always worth a visit. A curated shop of sustainable and local goods with a charming little cafe, it's been such a nice addition to the neighborhood. It's worth noting that this is also a great spot for a bathroom break, but I'm really trusting you to keep this secret because this is my go-to spot. If you happen to be a reader like me and Aline, there is a smaller location of the Strand bookstore not too far away. Their displays and staff picks are so enjoyable to look through no matter what genre strikes your fancy. But if you're in the mood for rare and used books, take a stroll over to Broadway and pop into West Sider Books for a real Upper West Side treat. Popping in to thank the sponsor of today's video, Organic Basics. Organic Basics is honestly all I've been wearing lately, especially with New York City starting to heat up. I just cannot stand anything that doesn't feel really soft and breathable on my skin. Organic Basics is such a cool Copenhagen-based, carbon-neutral brand creating underwear, activewear, and everyday essentials. Their flex cotton pieces are designed to be both gentle on your skin and flexible, allowing for maximum comfort throughout the day. And trust me, you can tell. They have cute little tank tops, they have a t-shirt, and my personal favorite has got to be the flex cotton shorty. This is the underwear style that I've been looking for. It's kind of like a little mini brief, but just a little bit shorter, and it doesn't ride up, it doesn't bunch, it's so comfortable, and again, the fabric is just so breathable and perfect. The rest of the underwear in my drawer has been completely neglected since this flex cotton shorty came around. Most importantly, this collection is made with GOTS certified organic cotton, which has been grown and processed without the use of harmful chemicals or unethical practices. Organic Basics actually gave me a 10% off discount for you guys to use, and it works site-wide, so you can stock up on any staples, any basics that you've got your eye on. My code is MichelleD10 for 10% off the Organic Basics website, and I'm so excited to be working with them. I absolutely love everything I've tried out from them. You can't go wrong. Everything is just so cute, so comfy, makes me feel so confident. So take advantage of that cheeky little discount. I'm gonna link everything I talked about down in the description box, and let's get back into the rest of the video. This is the time of day I would typically go home to recharge, but if you're in town visiting, this would be a great time to pop into the Museum of Natural History, the New York Historical Society, or of course, take a long walk through Central Park. I could make an entire video on Central Park alone, but the views from Oak Bridge are not to be missed. I remember my first ever trip to New York City. It was in 2018 for spring break. It was a family trip, and there was one afternoon where we left our parents to their own devices and Aline and I had a little afternoon to ourselves, and we ventured up to the Upper West Side to stop by and try a Levain cookie, of course, as you do when you're visiting New York City. And I think there's actually a vlog clip from that trip where Aline and I walked over Oak Bridge and marveled at the views of the city. You know, when you visit New York for the first time as a tourist, you probably will stay in Times Square or somewhere in Midtown. And as a Montana girlie, I was so overstimulated, so overwhelmed. I really did not know how people lived in New York City, because I was, of course, hanging around in Midtown as you do, going to the touristy spots. And I remember coming up on the Upper West Side off of the 72nd Street station stop and seeing the Ansonia building peeking out, and then taking a really peaceful walk in Central Park over Oak Bridge. And it just was one of those moments where I thought, oh yeah, I could live here. And it feels really cool, really full circle to be able to now live in that same neighborhood that I marveled at as a tourist. And it's really special, you know, in the moments where I get frustrated at the crowds and all the tourists visiting. It really is cool to be able to think about how people come from all over the world to do the things that I do every weekend. So yeah, moments of gratitude like that are really important when you're stuck in the hustle and bustle of it all. Okay, so it's time to wind down our day with a picnic dinner and some alfresco reading time in our go-to spot near the Triplets Bridge. On this particular evening, we were craving salads, but our favorite dinner on the Upper West Side has got to be Salatai. They're amazing for takeout, but also for dining in. There's such a lovely ambiance there, and the food is just top tier. There's also a Shake Shack nearby if that's on your list to try while you're in town. But yeah, we had such a lovely evening people watching and reading in the park, enjoying the beautiful weather. The only thing missing really was a sweet treat, so highly recommend to finish everything off with a cookie from Levain. It's a classic for a reason. My personal favorite is the chocolate peanut butter. It's just absolutely heavenly. So that's it for my perfect Sunday on the Upper West Side. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of different style of video. I also did want to point out that this was just a Sunday on the Upper West Side. There are so many cool things that you could do and places you could visit around the neighborhood. But maybe we can make another video on it if that is something that is desired. But this was just my personal favorite way of spending a Sunday. There are many different ways you could spend it, but this is just, you know, my Sunday routine that I wanted to kind of bring you guys along for. So I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out Organic Basics and use my code for 10% off your purchase. As I mentioned, I will link all of the pieces that I've been wearing in the description box, and you can get a little cheeky discount and stock up on new basics for your wardrobe. I know mine were looking rather ratty and definitely needed an upgrade. In the meantime, you can follow me on Instagram and on TikTok to keep up with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.